Ideally, the need for hot work should be eliminated by the use of alternative methods, like bolting component parts rather than welding. However, where this cannot be achieved, a dedicated area removed from the fuel sources, such as combustible waste materials or flammable vapors and combustible parts of the building structure, should be considered. So it may be possible to establish a temporary fabrication shop on site where the hot work may be undertaken, and this will also assist in the management of ill health issues such as the weld fumes, as the ventilation can be introduced into the fabrication shop. And these temporary fabrication shops comprise non-combustible floors or ceiling, or alternatively floors and walls with flexible protective coverings that conform to standards. And where these protective flexible coverings are installed, they are installed by a competent person to ensure that appropriate overlapping is achieved. And the storage of combustible materials within the fabrication shop should be prohibited. Also, the extraction system to remove the airborne contaminants should be installed, and the detection systems may be installed. And of course, the firefighting equipment should be provided. Also, hot work permits as a part of a permit to work system may be used for the work within the fabrication shop. And this hot work permit should normally include as a minimum the nature and location of the hot work to be undertaken, and the start time and duration of the hot work, also the limitation of time for which the permit is valid, and the person in direct control of the hot works, and the authorized signing off of the works. Next point we have here is the demolition operations. All demolition operations fall under the construction regulations and therefore require a systematic approach to the operations. Also, specific details relating to demolition will appear in the construction phase health and safety plan and the fire plan and demolition risk assessments and the method statements. And in order to combat the high risk of fire and explosion when undertaking demolition works like disruption and ignition of buried gas services or dismantling of tank structures that may have contained flammable residues, a formal system of work should be adopted. Also, a demolition survey to identify any potential fire and explosion risks together with other risks must be undertaken, and this should assist in locating underground services and identifying whether such services are in use or are disused, determining how supplies can be disconnected or otherwise made safe, and identifying the flammable and explosive concentrations that may be contained within any tank structure, and determining methods of residue removal or how the materials will be made inert. And also, any demolition work must be conducted by a competent company, ensuring that all persons involved within the work have received adequate training and are familiar with the method statement and operate to a permit to work system. And the general requirements for provision of firefighting equipment must also be considered, together with the provision of gas monitoring systems that can detect the presence of flammable vapors. Last point we have in this chapter is arson and site security, and actually the majority of issues relating to arson have been discussed previously within the chapter. However, the instances of arson on construction sites are significant, and particularly from unauthorized access, especially by children. And as a secure fencing is required under construction legislations, and arrangements for monitoring the fencing around the site should be included as a part of any control measure. Also, secure storage of flammable liquids, and on some sites, particularly those vulnerable to arson, gathering details relating to the area's history is an essential part of the site security. Also, the security lighting and the CCTV monitoring and the regular out-of-hours security controls or a permanent presence, and the connection with local authorities including the fire and police service. Also, securing items such as expensive plant and tools away from view, and together with the management of the combustible waste, and providing information to the staff and the members of the emergency service. Here's the end of this chapter. Thanks for watching and see you later.